Hey, overthinkers. It's Sweet Sun
Hey.
and Lisa here. Lisa, I think we both got the memo to wear plaid today.
Yes, because it's 2026 and plaid is the thing. I'm
That
saying it right
that's
now. I'm
the way
calling
to
it
do
forward.
it. That's too funny.
Yeah.
So here we are, ready to overthink with all of you. We're thrilled because we're actually getting emails in about some of the topics you want us to overthink about with you, and I'm gonna talk about one of those today, Lisa, if you're ready for me.
I am excited. I'm
Yeah.
so happy that other people think too much about things and ruminate and spiral just like we do.
That we're not the only ones. Yes, that's
Yes.
it's a good thing. So, okay, so uh the word, phrase, or the topic that a viewer wants to or a listener wants us to talk about is compliments.
Oh,
How you your face. Oh my gosh.
why does every word like,
I hope
ugh.
I hope people also watch the YouTube channels because your face was precious there. Yeah, and kind of under uh, the topic of how do you receive them? What about fake compliments? Compliments, what if you're not good at receiving them? What does that mean about you?
Mm.
And I know, I was like, great. Like my first thought was like I don't already have tons of things I overthink about. Let me overthink about this one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I've had a journey with compliments. I don't know about you.
yeah. I
Do you want me to start or do you want to,
yeah.
have you been thinking about it? Tell me what you think.
I literally have just gotten that far. I just wanted to
Okay,
startle you with it, and
you
then
did.
yes, you're welcome. That just I'm here all day. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Uh-huh.
right. So here's what I immediately thought was was a much bigger problem for me when I was younger,
Mm,
accepting compliments. And I think over the years I've done some work on that along with many other things, as you know.
yeah.
Um, and now kind of at the point I am in my life, which I'm 48 at this point, receiving compliments is less of an issue than it used to be.
Okay.
And actually, as you also know, I work with women leaders
Yes.
in our area, and we just talked about compliments just recently in
You
one of our
did.
workshops. Yes, we did, and I don't know how it came up or if it was planned, but we talked about how difficult it can be to receive compliments, especially for women.
Hmm.
And again, like this is a little stereotypical, so I don't want to totally say
Yes.
that every woman has a hard time receiving a compliment. Many are awesome at it,
Yeah.
and many men are not good at it. But I think as a general rule, it may go along with sort of another trend that I see with women sometimes, which is not necessarily believing they're qualified to be doing the thing that they're doing,
Hmm.
or that they're not doing a good job at it.
Yeah.
And I'm a little hesitant to overuse like the imposter syndrome thing because I think that's kind of a it's
Yeah.
been a little bit we've been saturated with this idea of imposter syndrome, and I don't think all women have it.
Mm-mm.
And I do think some people might be appropriate for them to to have it.
Some people are qualified to have it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are entitled to that
Yeah.
role. But I do think that if someone has a hard time receiving a compliment, in my mind, it is a discomfort. It's a discomfort, general discomfort with either themselves or maybe with the other person that's giving
Yeah.
them the compliment. It's interesting that I don't know if that person said fake compliments, but I'm interested in that
Yeah.
because I just immediately thought, like, how would you know if it's a fake compliment?
Yeah, so that's the part that I attach to. So I agree with everything you're saying in general. But the part that I attached to was the fake compliments.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this idea of like, am I complimenting you to try to get you to do what it is that I want you to do or to like me? And I think that I think it depends on some folks are like, oh, they perhaps can't tell or discern whether a compliment is authentic. But I think if you take, I was thinking about like when I really take pride in my work about something, and someone gives me a compliment, it enriches my, like, without sounding dramatic, my soul. Like there's
Yeah.
like a level of validation that comes with the level of purpose that I'm fostering there. But when I know I haven't done a great job, so there's two sides of it, and someone says, "Oh, great job." Now, granted, it's their perception, but it feels inauthentic to me. I was like,
Hmm.
is that, or is that your standard that you think that was good? So it's like, it's one of those. And then there's the other side where I do think people give compliments, and they're not authentic about it. But here's the thing about me. I give compliments all the time. So I kind of went inward and I thought, "Oh, because my attention span is that of a squirrel." And I'm like, "Here we go." And so when I see something I like, I'm like, "I like your purse. I like that." I don't even hesitate. And it is authentic because it's literally the way that I'm wired. So all of those thoughts started just to percolate for me initially when the person told me to.
Okay, that's so interesting because you just put me on a totally different path.
Okay.
So you said compliments, and I immediately went to maybe something a little different. I think I went to recognition instead of
Mm,
compliment. So
yeah.
when you said I like your purse,
Yes.
now you're in a different lane
I'm in a different lane.
because when someone says they like my purse, I automatically tell them where I got it and how much I spent on it.
Yeah.
And and
Oh
that
my
is
God. I think that's what bonds
ridiculous.
our friendship because
Yes. It's a ridiculous response. I
yeah.
actually had a nickname in college once. I think it was like $2 or something because I had this stupid hat I got from Von Mar and on sale for $2. And I was so
Proud of
proud of
it.
it.
Yes.
And anytime anyone was like, I like your hat, which probably wasn't even, it was probably ugly. And people were just like, nice hat. And I was like, $2 right
$2.
here
That's right. You're right.
from Von Mar. That
Yeah.
was, and
You were
so where that comes
complimenting your
from,
you were complimenting yourself more. You were like, not
my
only is it
clearance
amazing,
ability.
but exactly, like I'm able to strike a deal. So that's right.
Is
How
it,
about
yeah,
that,
there's,
Apple? Yeah.
is it a compliment to myself or is it like, I don't want you to think that I overthought what I was like what I was putting on today or spent too much on my, or is it like trying to get away from vanity? Because I do think women have that too. It's like your hair looks great, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't even wash it today, or like
Yeah.
you look
Well,
nice, and immediately I'm like, do I not? I must look like crap every other day. I don't know. It's like compliments are not
no.
okay. They're very complicated.
They are combo. This is exactly it. Well, it's like you're talking about because I did real quick. I was just like, is there even any research on compliments? Like this is,
Of course
me.
you
I go
did. I
and
love
I
you
just
so
had
much.
to because I was like, who talks about compliments, right?
Yeah.
But it's this idea of like we culturally are actually taught to dismiss them more
Yes.
because right it's like us wanting the underdog. We don't want somebody to be too uh full of themselves, or if they're too complimentary of themselves or take too many compliments, then they're not really authentic, or
Yeah.
but the research, there was just that little segment of saying that if you don't know how to take compliments, you actually you're more prone, or the research will show folks who can accept compliments actually have a better self-esteem. If you're not able to accept it, I don't think you're always feeling that great about yourself. But self-esteem is a whole nother topic, which we will talk about one day, because
Yeah.
that's
Is
that's
it fake? That's the question I have. Is it fake? No, I'm just kidding. I
self-esteem.
mean, well, yes, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
That's another
I
topic. But
mean,
I do think there's some psychology on there in there with me as well, like some
mhm.
magical thinking that I do.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, yes,
some of it
check.
is like if I accept that compliment,
Uh-huh.
then does that mean I'm happy with that thing? Does that mean that that's as far
Mm.
as I'm going to go, or I'm not going to be doing like self improvement? Because as you know, that's an obsession for me also, is just like I can be better, I can know more, I can do more, I could
The
look
whole,
better.
yes.
And so like if I just say thank you, if somebody says whatever they say, especially if it's about my outward appearance, or
Yeah.
like not my clothes, but like I don't know, something that I don't have a ton of control over, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting.
like, I think this is also dangerous territory for women
Yeah.
because there's so much around like so much attention being paid to how women look as associated with their weight,
Yes.
um, that I think we just never know where a woman's sensitivity is in terms
Yeah.
of like them. And so I actually don't think that I give a lot of compliments. It's funny you say you compliment people a lot, and I'm actually
I'm a
thinking to
junkie.
myself,
Yes,
I
I am a
don't.
compliment junkie and I cannot help it. But when I see something sparkly and wonderful or something that I like, I can't help but telling somebody. But I was thinking, like, I hope people don't think it's inauthentic because it really, I'm telling you right now, it's not. But so you don't find yourself actually complimenting as much.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of it now. Um, I think people that I see a lot,
Yeah.
that I'm very comfortable with, that I know,
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable giving a compliment to. I'm more comfortable being like, um, I love that dress, or that looks great on you, or whatever. Um, but I even think that might be rare. And I also know it feels good to get compliments. So I'm actually
Yeah.
rethinking like the degree to which I compliment my people.
Well, do you think, based on what this, a listener said, do you think that anything is wrong with someone if they can't receive compliments?
I don't think there's, I
Wrong
mean,
is a big word, but
like, yeah, I think that maybe would, I wouldn't go that far, but I do think it's worth exploring.
yeah.
Because for a long time I was a deflector
Mm,
too. And actually, I think what I realized is that deflecting or dismissing the compliment is actually sort of cruel to the person that's giving the compliment.
yeah.
It's actually not a kind thing to do. I think I remember having the feeling like, oh no, or whatever I used to say, that was somehow, um, that was a somehow okay response for that person, kind of like downplaying it.
Yeah.
But really, um, what it's communicating is that I don't value your opinion
Yeah.
and I don't trust you. And what you're
Oh,
saying to me doesn't mean what you're saying. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. And actually, I think that's cruel.
yeah.
And
I
I
will
think
tell
that,
you. Oh,
yeah, go
sorry.
ahead. No.
I was just saying, I agree. Like, there have been times where I've given compliments, not things about like purses or anything, but like an authentic compliment about somebody's job. And when it isn't, it's kind of dismissed. It does feel bad on the other end.
Or if it's a person is like, oh, it's nothing, or that was not a big deal, especially when you know it took a lot of work, then sometimes I'm kind of like insecure myself, like, why is that so hard for me then?
Yeah.
It wasn't hard for that person. So it leaves me kind of questioning my own, to your point, like my own standards.
Yeah.
And so my default response now is just thank you, and then moving on. And I try to teach my girls that. I think I've seen them do it also, or not say anything. Like,
Yeah.
I think kids right now don't know what to, not even right now, I'm sure throughout history, like
Yeah.
kids have a hard time knowing what to say when someone's giving them a compliment.
Yeah.
But I've been explicit with my girls when I see it happen, and with my son too, I guess, when I've seen it happen, just like, just acknowledge it, just say thank you, it's fine.
Yeah.
And sometimes they push back like, oh, but I don't know, it just, I think, I don't
I
know, we shouldn't have to grow into it.
No, and I too, I agree with you. I've come a long way in terms of compliments and receiving compliments. Before, I would definitely be dismissing, but I honestly grew up with the rule of being like, I thought you should. I thought if
Yes.
you were accepting, even if you thought you did a good job and someone complimented you on it and you said, oh, like, thank you, that made you narcissist, that made you ego
Yes.
type. And so I didn't. And then I would almost act timid, be like, oh, no, it was nothing or whatever. When sometimes it may be how I felt, like, oh, it was no big deal, but other times I can remember uh like it was a big deal and I did work hard on something, and if someone complimented me, the answer should just be, it shouldn't even be a big deal. It should be like, well, thank you. And the end.
Now, another way that
Yeah.
women deflect sometimes,
Hmm.
or men maybe, but
Yeah.
for sure women, is to automatically offer a compliment back.
Ah, yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Like,
you'd be like, "Oh my God, your hair looks so good," and I'm like, "Oh my God, yours does too." And meanwhile, the person in front of me is literally like, "Actually, I haven't washed it in 4 days," and then I
totally.
have to go through the thing of like, "I'm so jealous that you cannot wash your hair for 4 days," and it's
That's
not
all of
helpful.
it. That's
It's
it's
not
like it
helpful.
should
So,
be
what is
like
your
that.
thoughts about that? Because I think that is an automatic for some people too. Like they immediately go, "I like your dress too," or "Your purse is cute too."
I do that. Yeah, guilty. I do that all the time. I'll be like, someone's like, "Oh, great this." I'll be like, "Oh, but I love when you did that." And it's partly because yeah, like you want everybody to feel okay, but it's this because there's a misconception is that when somebody else does a good job on something and you compliment them, if you don't take the time to compliment everything else, that doesn't mean there isn't worth in everybody else's job or even how
Right.
someone looks or whatnot. But it's this idea that it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to take all but you're just great too. We're all just great. I think it just waters it down. It's funny. It's definitely funny when it happens, but I also wonder if like people then are less likely to even say anything to you, right? Or
Yeah,
compliment
because
you.
it makes it awkward, right?
Hmm.
I think it does. And then it makes me think too of like, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but sometimes we do icebreakers before
Yeah.
meetings, and that might be recognition or a compliment for somebody. And there are times when I think, is it right to kind of make people give compliments or recognize other people? And I do, on one hand, think it is healthy and think
Hmm.
that we should be doing that or incorporating that into our practice.
Hmm.
And then on the other hand, I'm like, is this inauthentic? And there have absolutely been times when there's just nothing to say. And
Yes.
then that brings up more questions for me than not. And just, is that worth it? Or should I just communicate, or should we just communicate that that's a value that we should have as a team, or I want us to have as a team? Just let it happen or
Yeah.
model it? I don't know. What do you
I
think?
mean, I think sometimes we forget to see the good in how something is going. So I always think bringing it to the forefront, but I do think it makes people uncomfortable. Here's a primary example. In a previous district that I worked in, there was a principal who gave a teacher a compliment because, right, it's a value, and he later got an email from another teacher saying that she did more of the work and was really offended
Oh,
by the
God.
fact that
Oh,
this
no.
principal did that. And
Oh,
right, like I
no.
remember being like, I remember him being like, "What do you think I should do?" I was like, "That sounds like a you problem."
Yeah.
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
walking away from that
Yeah,
one.
totally. But right, so to your point, I think you have to be careful with that. How much, right? Like you're sitting there being like everybody compliment each other or making it mandatory. I just wonder. But at the same time, I think if you don't put a little bit of a spotlight on saying, recognizing your colleagues, it's dismissive that way too.
Well, yeah, and yeah, I'm just thinking about it now, and I think there's some room for me in there to make some different decisions with our team. But I think the other question that I have that I would wonder about in regards to compliments would be, how do they land,
Hmm.
given the power dynamic in the relationship, right? So we talked a little bit about questioning kind of the authenticity of it, but that being maybe a more of a question of how I feel about myself. But I think sometimes there are power dynamics involved,
Hmm.
and intention does matter, and how it's taken matters. And I think sometimes if it's like you're in a leadership role and there's a fairness aspect or an equity aspect to recognition and compliments, and as much as we don't want people to compare, I think it's human nature, right?
Yes.
Does the person like me as much as they like the other person? And on the one hand, I think to myself, like, there's no way to just do that equitably all the time, but also I don't want to not ever do it. So how does one
Yeah.
manage
But
that.
it goes back to kind of what we were saying is like when she had asked me, well, what is there anything wrong with people who can't receive compliments? And I think that you have to know your relationship with compliments, like,
Yeah,
or receiving, because I do think, or even as a leader, knowing how comfortable you are, knowing that when you do say something, I don't care what anyone says, when you are the leader of the whole thing, there is a weight to what you say, so it can't be just willy-nilly, right?
right.
There's it just it otherwise it does seem careless, and it does seem like you're just, passing along anything.
Feels so hard, right? Because I'm even thinking in for our teachers, for our teachers in a classroom or how do you ensure, and it feels wrong to like keep a checklist
Yeah.
or have a
Yeah.
compliment jar with everyone's name on it. But if you don't, and you're not paying attention to that or being intentional, you just might wind up
Yeah.
giving all the positive accolades to one or two students. And I don't even mean necessarily the ones who are most, the rule followers, the
No.
students who listen best. You might be giving the compliments to the student that's struggling the most, and the rest of the kids are sitting there like, what the heck? Like, I'm
Yeah.
doing everything right. So you do have to be intentional, right?
And you do have to be intentional, but think about what you just said too, is like we have to also be cognizant when you think about, like, if you're giving the compliments to the student who struggles, there's an assumption is that if I give you more compliments, it again linked to self-esteem, that you'll feel
Right,
better about yourself and you'll do better work. And it's
right.
the same type of thing. It's those to me are separate. Like I can give you a compliment, but that doesn't mean you're going to do the same work as the next
Right.
time. That doesn't mean that it doesn't even maybe even mean you're a good person. It may just be I complimented you for that moment in time.
And that comes back at me in terms of like, when one of my kids is angry with me, it's like, well, the other one is your favorite or what
Yeah.
have you, because you tell that person all the time, this is great or that's great. And of course, I don't have favorites. I mean, some parents out there might. I have a favorite in every given moment,
Yeah,
depending on how they're acting. But like,
for sure.
obviously, that does cause me to reflect and what am I doing day to day? And then that thing of kids need maybe it's not just kids, people need 17 positives to one negative, or just
Yeah.
to sustain a healthy relationship it can't be bad all the time. And if it's not bad all the time, then there
Yeah.
has to be some explicit good. And I even think in friendships or, your significant other or your partner, I do think it can be very easy to neglect that after a while.
Yeah.
Those like genuine, authentic compliments, unless you make it a practice, unless that's a natural part of your conversation and your
Yeah.
day-to-day interactions, then what does become natural is what annoys you because that's on your radar, right?
I think you're right on. And here's what I always say, like it's Hebb's laws. Oh, neurons that wire together fire together. What you don't use, you lose. And if you
Yeah.
don't get into the practice of seeing, it's kind of like when we talked about gratitude or,
Yes.
the intentional pieces, we're not necessarily wired to stay in our prefrontal cortex in the high level brain of like seeing the good in people or
Yes.
empathy, all that good stuff. And so you do need to make it a practice or a habit, complimenting one person a day or something to that extent, or even practicing receiving a compliment. That's a great practice because I do
Yes.
think that wires you to see the good and probably makes you even like a not a better person, but in a better mood.
Well, I think that's important, but it does make me think of like the compliment or the positive sandwich when you're giving feedback or whatever, and how at this point that is not it's not what we should
No,
be doing. And we have, I
please
think
don't.
we've been explicit where I work with my team of like, this conversation is not about all the things that you do well. There's lots of things.
Yeah.
This conversation is about something that you need to have feedback on, or I need to give you feedback
Oh,
on.
I
But
love
like being
that.
explicit, right?
Yeah.
Because I do think if you need to have a conversation with your child or somebody you work with or a colleague that is more critical or more feedback oriented in, a change way, I think it's important to say, like, I recognize there's a lot of wonderful things about you.
Yeah.
This conversation is not about that,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Because I do think the other way, that positive sandwich, is terrible and just leads to just complete mixed
I think that's like a
signals.
slap in the face. I love
Yeah.
how you actually worded that. I'm going to use that because what you're doing in that is you're creating conditions for safety. You're
Yeah.
saying like that I see you as a person, that I also have seen all the good you have done, but there's something else here and that's okay, to give you feedback on it because you don't,
Yeah.
the other thing that doesn't build self-esteem is all good all the time. Right?
Right.
Because
Yes.
you have to be able
Yeah.
to handle when things don't feel like they're for you.
And I think the closer you are to a person, the harder it is to do that.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Right. Especially because when you feel the urge to give that feedback that's not so nice,
Yes.
you're not really interested in reframing.
Yeah.
Or at least I'm not. I'm not usually regulated quite enough to be
No.
like, before we talk about you cleaning your room, let me
Yeah.
preface it by saying, that's not usually where my head is
No.
at, but I do think I could do a better job of that.
Yeah, it's real emotions. D.W. Winnicott, he talks about like I think families get a bad rap where it's like they try really hard in even how they word things and make sure that they're not shaming their kids, but he's very clear, right? Like that the conditions only have to be good enough. And what he means by that
Mm,
is, right, you're just like
yeah.
you got parents have to release themselves a little. It's like you're still good, you compliment them, you nourish them, all those things. And once in a while you do have to look at them when they're trying to put like the cat in the garbage can and be like, that's not a great choice, right? And they might not
Oh,
love it, but like it's it's okay to look at them with a face of scorn, like no, because if you're like jolly and they're gonna be on a
don't put the cat in the
there,
garbage can. He doesn't
right?
like that.
Yes,
No.
exactly. And
Yeah, oh
so,
God, I needed to hear that today. The
so
conditions only have to be good enough.
yes,
I think that's a huge struggle,
yeah,
especially right now. There's this sort of gentle parenting
yeah,
movement that can be really hard to live
yeah,
up to that standard. And I would put it on teachers as well,
yeah,
or anybody that's leading some people.
yeah.
It's like there's this idea that you have to watch everything you say,
Hmm.
which I think puts the onus on the message deliverer too
Yes,
much, right?
yes.
Like, I don't know that we talk enough. But I love this listener question because
Mhm.
I don't think we talk enough about how we receive communication. We
Yeah,
talk so much about how we deliver communication. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to watch my words, I'm going to be careful of what I'm saying,
yeah.
as if it can actually control what the
Nope.
person is going to do, which we
That's
can't.
that's the piece. That's the like the irony of it all. It's like it doesn't control somebody's response. You might think the one part you practiced wholeheartedly in front of the mirror before you have this conversation with someone, that's the part they're gonna totally receive, and that's the part they get triggered by because you have no idea about someone's conditioning or what will actually make them have a reaction to what you're saying. So, yeah, you cannot control other people with your words or actions. Now, you can sometimes, what I mean is like if someone says, I'm going to fire you, the person might pivot because of those kinds of things.
Right.
But ultimately, like when we're talking about real substantial change, that only happens within.
Which is why I love that question, because all that matters is how we receive it
Yes,
and what we do with it.
that's it.
And I think, to me,
Yeah, I think you're right.
what I'm thinking about is, yeah, I wish more people could just say thank you
Yeah,
and reflect on it later and just take it in that moment and pay it forward later.
yeah. That it doesn't have to be this blown up thing. It's a simple thank you and call it a day. Yeah. Well, there you
Because
go.
it does make it more comfortable and we can all live together in peace that way.
That's it. It doesn't have. Well, that's wrapping it up with a bow. Thank you very
I
much.
just
Yeah,
did it.
you
I
did it.
wrapped us up.
Excellent.
It
This is a good topic, and I love it. So
was a
people
great
keep
topic.
keep emailing or chatting on our YouTube, our TikTok, our Instagram. Your thoughts or things you want us to discuss. We love it.
Yeah,
So,
send us an email. We're excited about this new venture that we have and love that people are tuning in and overthinking everything with us.
yes.
We don't feel so alone in our heads.
Yeah.
But for now, we're going to close up some of those tabs,
Yeah. That's it.
Suiza, and
Yes.
we're going to give ourselves some grace in this new
Yeah.
year.
Awesome. Till next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.